Cameron Dallas was one of the few members of the MagCon that managed to maintain his fame after the rise and fall of Vine. That isn't to say that his publicity has been entirely clean. In fact, it's the opposite. Cameron Dallas has shown a history of poor judgment throughout his career, but he's since seemed to acknowledge his faults and is actively working to better himself. But how did someone as popular as Cameron go from being in the limelight to having people wondering if he somehow just dropped off the face of the earth? Dallas started his career on Vine back in September 2012, and since then has moved on to other major platforms such as YouTube and Instagram, where he's built a massive following for himself. At the height of his career, his account was the 11th most followed account on Vine, which is no small feat. Throughout his career, he has dabbled in acting, singing, and even modeling, and for a while, it looked like there wasn't much that Cameron Dallas couldn't do. But after a few controversies and admitting to needing to work on himself, Dallas has decided to limit his time on social media. Of course, this wasn't before earning himself multiple Teen Choice Awards and becoming nothing short of a star. Dallas's career wasn't all sunshine and unicorns though, and it wasn't long before the MagCon members found themselves in the same trap that countless other young stars had found themselves in, as he tried to navigate a very public world without any prior experience. All eyes were on him, and that's when everything began to take a turn for Dallas, mentally, and even started a short history of the celebrity finding himself in trouble with the police and law enforcement. Starting in 2012, the social media star began to spiral out and cause a lot of problems for himself. One of the first instances of this happening was during a paint party that Cameron was hosting at his house that year. The star decided to have a couple of friends over at his apartment for a small party, which quickly grew into something loud enough to warrant a noise complaint. Now, when the police showed up at Cameron's apartment the first time that night, they didn't see anything too crazy happening and decided that everything was fine and left the property. But it wasn't long before they were called back. This time though, it was for something more serious than a noise complaint. The police received a call to head back to the apartment after a woman was almost hit by a paint can that one of Cameron's guests had thrown out of his window. It should also be noted that his apartment was on the 6th floor of the building, and the woman who almost got hit was walking on the street below, which means if she had been hit, she could have potentially been left with life-threatening injuries. The police returned to the apartment to find Cameron covered from head to toe in paint, which matched the walls around him that were also doused. Dallas was arrested because he didn't actually own the apartment, and therefore what he and his friends did was considered felony vandalism. He was later released on $20,000 bail. The former Vine star found himself in hot water once again on New Year's Eve 2018. According to the reports made by an Aspen police officer, Cameron was arrested after the police and ambulance were called to the Hyatt Residence Club Grand in Aspen at around 5 in the morning. The officers showed up and found a man who was claiming to have been assaulted and clearly had injuries on his face. The person who allegedly assaulted the man turned out to be Cameron, who was also staying at the hotel at the time. Now, believe it or not, Dallas confirmed that the incident was true, only he claimed that the assault was actually an act of self-defense. According to the claims made by Cameron, the man was in his hotel room and began to make sexual advances on Dallas's friend. But according to the celebrity, the man didn't stop and Cameron lost his cool and began hitting the unnamed victim. Whether that turned out to be true or not, the star was arrested and charged with second-degree assault. He later posted a picture of his mugshot to his Twitter with the caption, "Unfortunately, sometimes in life you find yourself in a situation where you have to protect yourself and the people you care about. Have a safe and happy new year. 2019 is going to be amazing." Now, despite claiming that the man he had attacked was trying to make advances on his friend that were not reciprocated, some fans who heard the story didn't quite believe him due to claims of homophobia in the past. The most public call-out that Cameron had for allegedly being homophobic came when another YouTuber and makeup artist by the name of Cole Carrigan posted a tweet accusing Dallas of walking up to him and throwing water on him. In the post, Carrigan claimed that Cameron did this for absolutely no reason other than being a homophobic drunk. And while fans of Dallas and the star himself have denied being a homophobe, it was also reported that he was walking around the party throwing water on everyone. In other words, he might just be a jerk when he's intoxicated. That being said, Cameron has recently opened up about his struggle with addiction in the past and has made claims to be actively working on bettering himself, which is something that we should all strive for. In a video posted by Cameron on August 23, 2019, he spoke about his addictions and the fact that he'd been abusing drugs and alcohol for a large portion of his young life. He has said that this 2.5-year period of his life was one of the darkest places he had ever been mentally, and is working toward never going there again. In the post, he also apologized for his past antics and for his disrespect towards others in the past. On the day that Dallas posted the video, he was supposedly 105 days sober, and as far as we know, he's stayed that way since. About a month later, during an interview with E! News, Dallas even mentioned celebrating it by going to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting to finally receive his 4-month chip. Since getting clean, Cameron has been making waves as he'd appeared in the Broadway version of Mean Girls, and has even gone on to make a few semi-successful songs. In other words, getting clean was the best thing that could have happened to Cameron Dallas, and we hope that he keeps working on bettering himself. What do you think about Cameron Dallas's ability to hold himself accountable? Make sure you let us know in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a single celebrity update.